آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليكم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردنا الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون. يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون. ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون. وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون. وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون. وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون. والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم. ولا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذرية في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون. وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون. وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون. فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون. إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون. هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون. لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون. سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون. ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا فلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون. وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون. ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون. لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين. وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم. قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم. إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. الله صل على
बावज़ बुलंद सलवात। अखरबा कट गए जब शाह के बारी बारी। अखरबा कट गए जब शाह के बारी बारी। और अदम चलने की इस शाह ने जब तैयारी। ख़ैमे का पर्दा उठा ज़ैनुल्लिबा एक बारी। ख़ैमे का पर्दा उठा ज़ैनुल्लिबा एक बारी। देख मक़तल की तरफ करने लगे ये जारी। खुल्द के कूच ने ہم کو نہیں بلواتے ہو، قافلے والو ہمیں چھوڑے چلے جاتے ہو۔ ہائے شبیر کے مرنے کی ہے اب تیاری، زخم پر زخم لگے ہیں تن شے پر تاری، بھوک اور پیاس میں غش آتے ہیں سو سو باری، بیچ میں ابن علی گرد کھڑے ہیں ناری، اپنی بیماری پہ شرمندہ پسر ہوتا ہے، قتل اب سامنے بیٹے کے پدر ہوتا ہے۔ ہائے بابا کو میرے کوئی بچا لے آ کر، پھیر دے لا کے گلے پر میرے کوئی خنجر، بعد بابا کے پسر کا نہیں جینا بہتر، باپ تو قتل ہو جیتا رہے یہ خستہ جگر، اہل بیت نبوی پر یہ جفائیں ہوں گی، بلوائے عام میں سر پر ناردائیں ہوں گی، اقربا کٹ گئے۔
درود پڑھے محمد و آل محمد میں۔ پردیس میں زینب کھو بیٹھی، 18 برس کے پالے کو روتے کھڑے سب آل نبی، روتے ہیں کھڑے سب آل نبی، 18 برس کے پالے کو ارمان نہ نکلا بانوں کا، اے لاش پہ نوحابانوں کا، پائے گی کہاں یہ کوک جلی، پائے گی کہاں یہ کوک جلی، 18 برس کے پالے دل تھام کے اکبر کی مادر سرور سے یہ کہتی ہیں رو کر، کھوائے کہاں عیب کھوائے کہاں عیب علی، 18 برس یہ پالے کو نازوں سے مرادوں سے پالا، اور شادی کا زمانہ جب آیا، میدان میں کر بیٹھ گئی، میدان میں کھو کر بیٹھ گئی، 18 برس کے پالے کو قسمت کا کروں کس سے میں گلا، خدمت کا عوض کچھ بھی نہ ملا، سیراب زینب بان سکی، سیراب زینب باد سکی، 18 برس کے پالے کو دیس میں زین درود پڑھے گا 12 بار، اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ رن سے جب کھا کے سناک برزی شائے، ماں کی خدمت میں کوئی آن کے مہمان، گھر میں لاش کو لیے شاہ شہید آئے، نہ اگر خاک بسر چاک، نہ اگر خاک بسر چاک، دی صدا قتل ہوئے یوسف ثانی بانو، مل گئی خاک میں اکبر کی جوانی بانو، مل گئی خاک میں اکبر کی جوانی بانو، مل گئی خاک میں اکبر کی جوانی بانو، دیکھ لے آخری دیدار پسر مرتا ہے، اور سامنے آنکھوں کی یہ نور نظر مرتا ہے، اب کوئی دم میرا رشک کے قمر مرتا ہے، منہ سے باہر زباں تشنہ جگر مرتا ہے، منہ سے باہر زباں تشنہ جگر مرتا ہے، دم ہے سینے میں رکا زخم موسیقی جاری ہے شہر بانو تیرا گھر لوٹنے کی تیاری شہر بانو تیرا گھر لوٹنے کی تیاری شہر بانو تیرا گھر لوٹنے کی تیاری ہے پہنچی خیمے میں جو حضرت کی یہ پر درد صدا مضطرب ہو گئے ناموں سے رسول دوسرا کہا چلا کے سکینہ نے کہ ہے بھیا فضا دوڑی سوے در فضا دوڑی سوے پیٹتی زینب بے پر نکل آئی باہر بانو گھبرا کے کھلے سر نکل آئی بانو گھبرا کے کھلے سر نکل آئی بانو گھبرا کے کھلے سر نکل آئی شیخ کے کاندھے پہ جو دیکھا علی اکبر کو نڈال ہاتھ پھیلا کے یہ چلا یہ کہ ہے میرے لال کیا غضب ہو گیا اے بادشاہ نے قصار راس آیا نا میرے بچے کو 18واں سال راس آیا نا میرے بچے کو 18 ٹکڑے تیغوں سے بدن ہو گیا سارا کون تھا جس نے میرے شیر کو مارا کون تھا جس نے میرے شیر کو مارا کون تھا جس نے میرے شیر کو مارا رو کے بانو سے یہ فرمانے لگے سرور دین سر نہ پیٹو ابھی زندہ اے میرا ماں جبھی سانس آتی ہے ہر دم دم پاس بسی کچھ ان کا بھی اور ہم بھی مرنے کے قریب کچھ ہم بھی اور ہم بھی مرنے کے قریب سب چھٹے اب نہ رہا کوئی ہمارا بانو اس جوان بیٹے کے غم نے ہمیں مارا بانو اس جوان بیٹے کے غم نے ہمیں مارا بانو اس جوان بیٹے کے غم نے ہمیں مارا بانو سن کے مادر کی صدا کھول دیے دیدے نام ہاتھ اٹھا کر کہا رو نہ میرے سر کی قسم پاس آ کر ہمیں چھاتی سے لگا لو دم رن سے آئے تمہاری ملاقات کو رن سے آئے تمہاری ملاقات کو پھر یہ گھر شاہ کے اقبال سے دیکھا ہم نے پر تمہیں آ کے عجب حال سے دیکھا پر تمہیں آ کے عجب حال سے دیکھا پر تمہیں آ کے عجب حال سے دیکھا ہم نے بال کیوں بکھرے ہیں کیوں پھیندے سر پر سے ردا نیل کیوں سینے پہ کیوں گریبان پھٹا خاک کیوں منہ پہ ملی ہو یہ پسر تم پہ فدا شاہ دنیا سے سلامت رہے یہ کیا شاہ دنیا سے سلامت رہے یہ کیا لٹ گئی یہ نا سخن منہ سے نکالو اماں میں تو جیتا ہوں کلیجے کو سنبھالو میں تو جیتا ہوں کلیجے کو سنبھالو زخمی ہونے کی میرے کس نے خبر پہنچائی جھوٹ ہے میں نے تو ہرگز نہیں برچھی کھائی آپ تک بیٹے کو تقدیر سلامت لائی دیکھے حضرت کے قدم تن میں میرے دیکھے حضرت کے قدم تن میں میرے جانا مرگ سے پہلے ہو ماتم یہ زبوں ہے اماں، میرے کپڑوں پہ تو عباس کا خون ہے اماں، میرے کپڑوں پہ تو عباس کا خون ہے اماں، میرے کپڑوں پہ تو عباس کا خون ہے اماں۔ بولی بانو کے جو کہتے ہو خدا یوں ہی کرے، اے میرے لال یہ ماتے ری بلا لے کے مرے، لاؤ دھو ڈالوں میں جو خون میں کپڑے ہیں بھرے، چاند سے ہاتھ ہے پھر کس لیے چھاتی پہ دھرے، چاند سے ہاتھ ہے پھر کس لیے چھاتی پہ دھرے، چاند سے ہاتھ ہے پھر کس لیے چھاتی پہ دھرے۔ مجھ کو معلوم ہوا قلب سے جاتے ہو تم، میرے رونے کے لیے زخم چھپاتے ہو، میرے رونے کے لیے زخم چھپاتے ہو، میرے رونے کے لیے زخم چھپاتے ہو تم۔ بانو صدمے سے نہ مر جائے اے یہ ڈر ہے بیٹا، سب تیرے دل کی میرے دل کو خبر ہے بیٹا، ہائے سینہ یہ تیرا خون میں تر ہے بیٹا، پھر یہ کیا ہے جو نہیں زخم جگر ہے بیٹا، پھر یہ کیا ہے جو نہیں زخم جگر ہے بیٹا۔ سنسناتا ہے جگر جان چلی جاتی ہے، اس لہو سے تو میرے خون کی بو آتی ہے، اس لہو سے تو میرے دودھ کی بو آتی ہے، اس لہو سے تو میرے دودھ کی بو آتی ہے۔ آرزو ہے کہ پھلے پھول میرا نخل مراد، تم دلہن بہا کے لاؤ میرا گھر ہو آباد، دیکھ لوں آنکھوں سے اپنی میں تمہاری اولاد، پھر میں دنیا سے جو گزروں تو رہے روح بشار، پھر میں دنیا سے جو گزروں تو رہے روح بشار، پھر میں دنیا سے جو گزروں تو رہے روح بشار۔ دادی کہلاؤں گی رتبہ میرا برتر ہوگا، تیرا فرزند بھی ہم شکل پیغمبر ہوگا، تیرا فرزند بھی ہم شکل پیغمبر ہوگا، تیرا فرزند بھی ہم شکل پیغمبر ہوگا۔ دادی کہلاؤں گی رتبہ میرا بیٹا ہوگا، تیرا فرزند بھی ہم شکل پیغمبر ہوگا، تیرا فرزند بھی ہم شکل پیغمبر ہوگا۔ آہ کی سن کے یہ اکبر دے وزاد رنج و ملال، درد چھاتی میں اٹھا غیر ہوا اور بھی حال، دل میں سوچ کے رونے لگا وہ نے قصال، ہم سفر کرتے ہیں اماں کو شادی کا خیال، ہم سفر کرتے ہیں اماں کو شادی کا، ہم سفر کرتے ہیں اماں کو شادی کا خیال۔ بر میں ہوئے گا کفن خاک پہ تیرا ہوگا، نہ دلہن ہوگی نہ اولاد نہ سہرا، نہ دلہن ہوگی نہ اولاد نہ سہرا، بر میں ہوئے گا کفن خاک پہ تیرا ہوگا، نہ دلہن ہوگی نہ اولاد نہ سہرا، نہ دلہن ہوگی نہ اولاد نہ سہرا، نہ دلہن ہوگی نہ اولاد نہ سہرا ہوگا۔ الا لعنۃ اللہ القوم الظالم سيعلمون الذين ظلموا ان منقلبين ينقلبون۔
بلند صلوات اللهم صل على محمد۔ I'd like to begin the announcement with my usual ones. Please, can I request you all to move a little forward as much as possible. We all know at the later part of the majlis, it's also crowded that everybody will be disturbed unnecessarily. Please move as much as forward, please. So inshallah, the majlis program at Al-Noor will continue till the 12th of Muharram. All these majalis will be recited by Hujjatul Muslimin, the eminent scholar, Sheikh Roushandel, Hassan Roushandel. The program starts at 7:30 with Tilawat al-Quran, followed by Marsiya, and then 8 o'clock, Sheikh will be on the mimbar to recite the lecture. You are all requested to please attend on time so that you can benefit as much as possible from his wonderful inspirational lectures, inshallah. Before I invite Sheikh, let me have the pleasure of remembering all the marhumeens who used to be present here until last year. Please join me in reciting a Surah Fatiha for all the marhumeens, especially the marhumeens of the sponsor of today's majlis, Dr. Mumtaz Abidi, and his all family members who have passed away recently in the past, and also your marhumeen and the Millat Jafriya. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would now like to invite our scholar of tonight, Sheikh Hassan Roushandel, to please come on to recite the majlis train. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Ba'awaz buland salawat.
अरे हुसैन की आंखों का नूर भी छीन लिया दुश्मनों ने। अरे हुसैन की आंखों का नूर भी छीन लिया दुश्मनों ने। बर्ची का फल निकाला, बर्ची का फल निकाला अली को याद करके हुसैन ने। बरहमत हम शबी पैगंबर जनाब अली अकबर अलैहिस्सलाम बावाज़ बुलंद सलावत।
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنام، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الهداة المهديين، ولا سيما على بقية الله صاحب العصر والزمان، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope and pray, insha'Allah, every single one of you are benefiting from these majalis, hopefully attending and connecting with your Lord and with the Imam, which is the Wali of your Lord, insha'Allah. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the opportunity of truly reflecting on the teachings of the Imams, insha'Allah, and hopefully applying them in our lives and truly feeling the connection and feeling the impact of their teachings on our lives, insha'Allah, with the barakah of a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There is a line attributed to Imam Hussein alayhi salam that he has said, ألا وإن الدعي يبنى الدعي قد ركز بين اثنتين، أو ركزني بين اثنتين، بين السلة والذلة. the unlawful child, son of the unlawful child, has put me in a situation where I have to choose between humiliation or the other side of it, which is basically I'm going to die, or I'm going to give my life, or I'm going to live, but a life with humiliation. Now the beginning of this narration says the Da'i, son of Da'i. The scholars have discussed this to say that who is this talking about? If it's Ibn Ziyad, la'natullahi alayh, then the question is that we know that his father was Ziyad ibn Abih. Ziyad, the son of his father, they used to call him. Why did they used to call him the son of his father? Because they didn't know who his father was. But there's a question as to whether he himself was an unlawful child. So some of the scholars have questioned and said that yes, his father was unlawful, was not didn't have a legitimate birth. However, he himself did. So as a result of that, they have questioned whether the first part of this narration, is it inna da'i ibn da'i, or in some of the other versions of it, inna shaqi ibn shaqi, which is the one who is basically on the wrong path. So whatever the meaning of it is, we'll take the gist of this narration. The important part of it is where the Imam alayhi salam says, he has put me in a situation where I have to choose between humiliation, living life but a humiliated life, or basically giving my life. Then he says, وَهَيْهَاتْ مِنَّ الذِّلَّةِ, never to humiliation, or no to humiliation. The next part of this narration is interesting. The next part says, يَأْبَى اللَّهُ ذَلِكَ لَنَا وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Why is it that we say never and no to humiliation? Because God doesn't accept humiliation for us. And the Rasul does not accept humiliation for us. And even the mu'mineen do not see us in a position where humiliation befits us. Some of the scholars, when they looked at this narration, they said Imam Hussein alayhi salam says never to humiliation. And as an explanation for that, he says, because God does not accept humiliation for anyone, particularly for us, at all, ever. But some of the other scholars say, then how do we reconcile between this and the narrations that Imam Ali alayhi salam says, I accepted dhillah, I accepted humiliation? How do we put these two together then? Imam Hussein alayhi salam says God does not want humiliation for us, but Imam Ali alayhi salam says I accept humiliation for the sake of God and for the sake of the religion. So when you say this, then some of the scholars have explained this narration differently. They say when Imam Hussein alayhi salam says hayhat minna dhillah, never to humiliation, the next line is a line which explains which type of a humiliation we're talking about. Not any type of humiliation. There are times that you may be in a situation where you think you're humiliated, but this is something that Allah accepts and wants for you. So that you submit yourself to. For the sake of Allah, for the sake of the religion, you put yourself in a situation where you feel like, okay, maybe I'm humiliated. So not any type of humiliation. No, the type of humiliation which Allah does not accept from you. So it's very important to know which type of a humiliation Allah does accept and which one He doesn't. And this is a very practical lesson to start the lecture with. This is to perhaps the more younger generation. However, the older generation, some of them can definitely benefit from this as well. When it comes to, let's say, respecting your parents, there are times which you may feel that if I accept what they are saying, if I submit myself to the will of my mother or my father, it's humiliating. No, but I am right and they are wrong. Imagine there's a scenario where they make a mistake, but then you know it and they probably know it as well. So instead of bringing it up in front of them and saying it to their face, no, but you were wrong, but I am right, etc., sometimes you just bite your tongue and you don't say anything. Or even you put your head down and say, yeah, you're right, I made a mistake. This on surface level is humiliation. And some people, maybe their minds, in order to justify why they speak up, they would say, well, Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, hayhat minna dhillah, I am not going to accept humiliation whatsoever because my Imam didn't accept humiliation. But no, the Imam didn't accept the humiliation that Allah did not allow him or did not want for him. There are some places where, yes, you can humiliate yourself and it's like a bouncing ball. You hit yourself down, but the harder you hit yourself down, the further you would go up. And with parents, this is one example. Where if you bite your tongue sometimes, where if you don't argue back, these things helps a person. They help a person not only in akhirah, but also in worldly matters. And we've been speaking about Allah's system so much. One of the very important things about the system is that no matter who you are, whether you're Muslim or not even, you see that there are some things which have a real, they call it takweeni impact on your life, a real impact. This is not to do with, akhirah or anything. No, in your life right now, it has a physical, real, tangible impact. One of those things is disrespect to the parents. Now, I'm saying this, but I also have to say the other side of the story, and that is sometimes that there's too much expectations from the parents. But I will leave this, inshallah, for the coming nights. One night, inshallah, I'm going to be discussing parenthood and what to expect from the children, and vice versa, what for the children to expect from the parents, but in line of the topic of these lectures, which is reconnecting with God, and in line with understanding the system of God and understanding insan, the two main points that we said, inshallah, in these lectures we'll have to touch upon. So, to summarize this point, sometimes when you humiliate yourself, on surface level it seems like it's humiliation, but the result of that is very different. And in line with this, I'm going to now go and continue the discussion we had yesterday. We said that often things appear to us in a particular manner, but in reality there's lots of things happening behind the scene. And one of those places we said, when it comes to difficulties and usr, we said when the Quran talks about usr, it talks about it not just saying that after difficulty there comes ease, but saying with difficulty in your life, you always have ease at the same time happening. You just have to find it. But even in a deeper level, that every difficulty is a womb which gives birth to ease in your life. And if you are looking for ease in your life, make sure you don't sit and think or suppose that the physical ease and comfort that you have in your life is something that you'll have to hold on to and just basically stagnate, or if you're moving forward in a very slow speed. Because if you want to appreciate what it's like to have money, you have to know what it's like to not have money. If you were born in a family which you had money your whole life, and you don't know what it's like to work for money, if you don't know what it's like to struggle, you'll never be able to appreciate what money can give you and the good side of it. Shahid Mutahari, in his book, Divine Justice, he talks about the problem of evil, and there he says there are many people who are struggling in life. And I'm mentioning this because it's in line with the topics we've been discussing in order to reconnect with God and understand His system and appreciate the blessings that He's given us and to rely on Him in our journey of life. Shaheed Mutahari says that sometimes people lose sight of what's happening in their life. They suddenly don't see any color. Everything becomes black and white in front of them. They lose meaning, they lose purpose. And he mentions an example. He says there's a particular individual who was a poet in Iran at that time, and he used to write very depressing poems. There's no meaning in life. What's the purpose of creation? What's the purpose of us living? A very nihilistic, negative approach towards life. And Shaheed Mutahari here becomes very politically incorrect. And he starts bashing and he says, this person, I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons why he became depressed, and as a result of that he committed a suicide. But nevertheless, he's very respected among the poets, because of his poems that he's basically recited. So this individual, Shaheed Mutahari talks about him and says, the reason why he didn't see any meaning was because he was brought up in a privileged family where whatever he wanted, they gave him. And he did not embark on a journey in life where he would understand the meaning of struggling, the meaning behind the difficulties in life, because he never had them. And to him, everything was provided. And he said, as a solution, what should we do with him? He said, maybe if he was taken as a slave and would put in a farm. Well, I told you just as a spoiler alert that this is going to be a bit harsh. So he says, you take him, you put him in a barn, and then you give him work every single day for 12, 14 hours. Then you starve him. And then when he's starving, you just throw a piece of bread in front of him, and the moment he dives on the piece of bread to take it and to eat it, that moment when he's eating that piece of bread, he would know the meaning of life. Because that moment after struggle, when you're eating that, you understand. Because you've seen the opposite. You've seen the dark side. You've seen darkness. So now when you're getting this, you appreciate it. And this injects meaning into your life. And that is why, brothers and sisters, a lot of the specialists today, they say that if you're finding yourself to be in a situation where you're not seeing meaning, colors going away from your life, engage in something which is difficult, which is purposeful, which is responsibilities, and make sure you fulfill them. Even if you do 80%, 70% of it, it gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of growth. And we said that this growth is so important. This dynamic in life is so important that God, who protected His prophets from sins, He created scenarios in front of the prophets in order for them to go through the experience and learn from it and grow from it so that they can deserve the next steps. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given Dawood the Khalifa, the position of Khilafah on earth, without Dawood having gone through that test and experience that he had, he would not have appreciated it, and he would not have the capacity and the deserving of that, and would not be deserving of that position. So this is the system where God not only takes all of us through, walks us through, but He takes the best of His creation through it as well, and He creates the scenarios in front of Him so that they experience life, they make mistakes in their own level, but at the same time it doesn't impact their infallibility, because that is necessary also for their position of guiding people. but they also are on journeys. And throughout these nights, we've explained a number of stories to say that the prophets also went through journeys and they made mistakes as well. And we explained a number of them. Now, in light of this, I'm going to read to you a narration by Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's narrated that Imam Ali alayhi salam said, he's teaching us about the laws of this system. He said, look, وَلَا يَقُولَنَّ أَحَدُكُمْ اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الفتن ومن الفتنة. None of you shall make this dua. Do not ever ask Allah or seek refuge to Allah and say, oh Allah, please save me. I seek refuge to you from tests in this world, from trials. He says, don't say that. Why shouldn't you say this? He says, because if you say this, this means that you have not been a wise student of this universe. You've been blind your whole life. If you were smart enough, you would have known that every single aspect of your life, whether it's a blessing or it's a difficulty, it's a test. Nothing in this world is anything other than a test. وَلَا يَقُولَنَّ أَحَدُكُمْ اللَّهُمَّ إِنِّي أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْفِتْنَةِ. Why? لِأَنَّهُ لَيْسَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا وَهُوَ مُشْتَمِلٌ عَلَى فِتْنَةٍ. There is no one in this world other than they are tested constantly, repetitively, continuously. Okay, so what should I ask for? Is he going to leave us there? No. He's Imam Ali alayhi salam. So he teaches you what to ask. He says, now if you do want to ask Allah for something, say it this way. وَلَكِنْ مَنِ اسْتَعَاذَ. If you do want to seek refuge to Allah, if you want to ask for His help, ask in this particular manner. فَلْيَسْتَعِذْ مِن مُضِلَّاتِ الْفِتَانِ. Seek refuge to Allah. From what? From those things, the misguidance that's a result of the difficulties and trials. The failures, the times when you would not succeed. Seek refuge to Allah from that. Ask Allah to help you succeed in these trials and grow from them. The continuation of it is beautiful. He says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سُبْحَانَهُ يَقُولُ. Because God in His book, He says, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. Know that your wealth in this world is a test, is a trial. Your children in this world are trial, are tests. When you have them, they're a test. When you don't have them, they're a test. Now, what does a test mean? A test means, now, you are in a situation where something's happening to you, whether you have something or you don't have something. Your reaction to that defines how you have succeeded or not succeeded in this test. How do you react to it? If you're grateful, if you manage to remain positive, if you manage to remain calm, use the tools we said like tawakkul, use the tools of gratitude and fixate your mind on those and rely on Allah for the rest. If that's what you're doing, then you're doing well. Not just in the moment of difficulty, even in the moment where you have something. Now this is the beauty of it. There's a narration that very clearly says, the reward of the one who is eating but is grateful is the same of the reward of the person who is fasting and is grateful. So you see, it's not the fasting necessarily. It's about how you react to it. When you have food, are you grateful for it? Are you mindful of where you are and what Allah has given you. And if you are, then your reward is the same of the person who doesn't have it. This is the beauty of this world. It's not just in the difficulties, like some people sometimes, the moment a difficulty comes in life, it's like, oh my God, this is a test. Everyone, let's prepare ourselves. Let's go, let's go forward. We fight. We win. Okay, that's over. Let's just now relax for another month or two until the next test comes. No, it's not like that. Everything is a test in life. And that's why, when you look at it that way, every night for what you have done, you're grateful. For what you managed to do and succeed, you're grateful. And for what you didn't manage to do, the moments that you didn't manage to do, be grateful. You ask for forgiveness, you do istighfar. And if you had listened to the lecture of istighfar, so by now, it's very easy for you to do istighfar and not feel guilty or bad about yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's so much you could have done, you didn't do. And we're talking about what? The God which is Arhamur Rahimin, so you do it very easily. The continuation of this narration. The Imam explains the narration. He says, وَمَعْنَى ذَلِكَ, what's the meaning of your children and your amwal, your wealth are tests? This is the meaning of it. وَمَعْنَى ذَلِكَ أَنَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ يَخْتَبِرُ عِبَادَهُ يَخْتَبِرُهُمْ بِالْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. Allah tests them, the people with their amwal and with their awlad, لِيَتَبَيَّنَ السَّاخِطَ لِرِزْقِهِ وَالرَّاضِيَ بِقِسْمِهِ. Why does God test? He explains. Does he say that in order for Allah to know? No, he doesn't say that. Because Allah already knows. So why does God test? He says in order يَتَبَيَّنَ. Tabyin means something to become clear, to manifest. In order for the person who's grateful for the rizq they have and the person who's ungrateful, for that to manifest. And the next line explains it even clearer. وَإِن كَانَ سُبْحَانَهُ أَعْلَمُ بِهِمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Never ever for a moment think that Allah tests in order for him to know something. That's ridiculous. He already knows. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Allah is more knowledgeable than themselves about the person. So if I don't even know if I have a quality, Allah knows that I do have that quality. So, وَلَكِنْ لِتَظْهَرَ الْأَفْعَالُ الَّتِي بِهَا يُسْتَحَقُّ الثَّوَابُ وَالْعِقَابِ. He says, in order for the actions to manifest, which actions? The actions which, by those actions, you will deserve either punishment, accountability, or you will deserve a reward. You have some qualities inside you, but you've never shown it, and you were never in a situation for that to come out, to manifest. You go through these difficulties, amwal, suddenly you receive an amount of money. That's a test. Why? In order for you to know now there is something inside you deep, hiding, that devil, that monster. You didn't know you have it inside you. But now suddenly you win a halal lottery, and in that moment you see something creeps out. What was that? I never thought I ever had this monster right now that's trying to hold on to this wealth and now wants to trick people, and it's so okay with deceiving, tricking and everything because now the money, I have the money and I have power. It's so ready now to dominate people, to do wrong to people. But you didn't even know you had that. So why are these tests here? In order for that quality, for that amal, the fi'l to come out. Because your whole life you thought you're a very pious person. You thought you know how to swim, okay? You had studied the theory. You've watched so many movies about swimming. But no one had thrown you in water. You're not a swimmer. You just know about swimming. The tests is like God picks you up and says, okay, let me just dip you in the water to see how you do. And if someone is a smart student of this world, for every single blessing and every single struggle that comes to their life, they immediately, their mind fixates on, okay, what is this trying to teach me about myself? Which part of myself did I not know about that right now I need to be more aware of? There is a narration. Now, this is the very interesting part. I didn't prepare this for this lecture, but inshallah, maybe it's your rizq. This is a very interesting part of it. There's a narration attributed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And before I say it, and for your thirst to increase, can everyone please get up, move one step forward, inshallah, with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, both men and women, please. It is attributed to the Prophet to have said that I have trained my companions in a way. So the Prophet has trained the companions in a way that if something as small as a small, imagine, needle goes inside their finger, they would know why that happened to them in their life. This is how conscious they become. They would know why that has happened. Now, it could either be due to something wrong they did, and immediately the impact, the universe, we said, is very intelligent. And to the person who's aware of its laws and is implementing them, it becomes even more sensitive. Either it's due to something wrong they have done, or it's due to something that's coming in the next maybe couple of days. There's a test coming and they need to be a bit more aware. They need to grow in some way or form. So this test, this very small thing, trial, you can call it, comes, makes them aware, shakes them, and they move forward so that they're ready for the next one. And I know of a teacher who this is what he said. I was in his class, and it was just like a very short course, but he's a spiritual teacher. Teaches about lots of these, concepts that we have discussed. And this was the last session we had. When he came to class, he told us about what happened last night, the last night of the session. He said, I was trying to, prepare. I was in the office, and the next day was the class. I suddenly felt that I had so much pain inside my stomach, to the degree that I had to call the ambulance. So I immediately said to the people who were, helping out with the organization of the classes, I said, send a message to everyone that perhaps, tomorrow there's going to be no class. It's going to be cancelled. He said, I was in the ambulance and I was going to the hospital. He said, on the way, I started pondering and I thought, I'm like, why would this happen to me? All of a sudden, very deep pain. He said, I was dying. He said, I thought to myself and I said, oh, I got it. So this is a person who's very wise and is very, very mindful. You don't do that. You can't start from tonight. But if a person's on the path and in the training for a very long time, he said, I realized, I'm like, I got it. I got it why this happened. And he said, in that moment, I started speaking to God. And I said, look, this thing that happened, I think I know what it's for. I know Allah, I repent. I put my hands up and I said, I made a mistake. Then I said to God, I said, look, these people that are going to come tomorrow, they are your children. They are your creation. And you care for them. If you think what I'm sharing with them is useful, if you think this is what basically would benefit them, and I admit to my mistake, I got it. cure me right now so that I can go tomorrow morning. It was late at night, the night before. He said it didn't take half an hour. When we got to the hospital, I didn't have any pain. And he said they started doing a checkup. They're like, nothing's wrong with you. Why are you even here? This teaches us. Now, I'm not saying it happens for everyone at all times, but just have this in your mind that it could be real, that people can reach a level where with the slightest mistake they make in their life, the world reacts to it. And they are so conscious that often they feel it. They feel the reaction. And this is the narration which is attributed to the Prophet, that I've trained them in a way that they would know what's going on. They're conscious of the actions and the reactions of everything. Let's finish the narration of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Please recite the salawat. So basically, the Imam says, in order for the af'al, for the actions to manifest themselves, and as a result of that, when they come on surface, then the person becomes deserving of praise or deserving of, for example, condemnation, or deserving of, let's say, a form of reminder, etc. There's a continuation which I'm going to skip because I realize that we don't have much time left. So when you understand this system, and when you know that whatever happens as a difficulty in your life, there could be so much behind it, so much contributing towards your growth, so much contributing towards you understanding and knowing where did you make a mistake, what was wrong, and coming back. Allah has so many different forms of reminders. Quran is called a dhikr, a reminder. But also sometimes in life, you have to go through some things in order to remind you of something that you're doing which is wrong, of a direction that you're going. And this is if Allah has mercy on you. If Allah doesn't have mercy, and if you're in a situation where you're so deep in your mistakes, into the whole the darkness, then often none of these things would be a means of you to wake up anymore. None of these things will play the role. They happen in our lives, but they're not going to mean anything to us because we're not conscious of it anymore. So when you become aware of these things, this beautiful narration I'm going to share with you shows that you don't know the purpose of these things. So our responsibility is that we ask Allah for forgiveness if we've done anything wrong, and we hope that whatever we're going through, we do our part, we do our responsibility, but we don't moan. We don't resent life. We don't become a nihilist. We don't feel like, okay, there's no purpose anymore. No, this could contribute towards something which is so great and you just really don't know. And this narration points us towards that direction. It's narrated that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam to have said, قال علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام. So he narrates, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He narrates from Imam Ali alayhi salam to have said, كن لما لا ترجو أرجى من كلمة ترجو. Be more hopeful, or probably expect more from the thing that is less possible to happen, less likely, you're less hopeful towards, more than you are hopeful towards something which is more likely to happen. So I'll repeat this. There are things in life that, is realistic. You're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and go to work and I'm going to come back home and, hopefully probably children are going to come to see me. I'm going to go and see a friend. And these are things you're looking forward to. are likely to happen, and there are things which are not likely to happen. That is, for example, tomorrow you wake up and you receive a phone call, you've won a prize worth of I don't know how much. Or suddenly a teacher suddenly shows up and says, hey, this whole time you were looking for someone to help you spiritually. I am here. God has sent me. He takes your hand and He takes you on a spiritual wayfaring and journey. These are things you don't hope, it's less likely to happen. The narration says, Kun lima la tarju arja min kalima tarju. Be more hopeful towards the thing which you don't even know it's going to happen. You don't see it. Yusuf, when he was right deep down in the well, he didn't know what's going to happen. He didn't know what was awaiting him. But it did happen. And this is how God works in mysterious ways. You hold on. You just try to stay calm and go through the difficulties and be hopeful for something which is less likely to happen. Why is that the case? Because this is how God shows it to you with the examples of the Prophet. And the continuation of the narration says, فإن موسى بن عمران صلوات الله عليه خرج يقتبس لأهله نارا. Prophet Musa left his family in order to go and get fire. Okay? Get some wood, bring it, and basically start a fire. That was what he was hoping and he was looking forward to, which was likely to happen, to find some wood, come back and light the fire. But what happened? Something that he was definitely not expecting. فَكَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ. Allah spoke to him. He left with the right intention and hoping for the best, and what he received was beyond his imagination. فَكَلَّمَهُ اللَّهُ وَرَجَعَ النَّبِيَّ. And he returned not with fire, but he returned as a prophet. This is how God sometimes compensates. When you try to hold on to the ropes, when you try to keep on path and do tawakkul on Allah. What's the next example? وَخَرَجَتْ مَلَكَةُ سَبَأْ كَافِرَةً. The queen of Saba, she left her city when she was kafir. But what happened? She was hoping to basically to convince Sulaiman. She left her city, but فَأَسْلَمَتْ مَعَ سُلَيْمَانَ. The result of it was that one thing she never thought of was that she'll bring Iman to Sulaiman. So these are things that you don't see expected, but be hopeful to that which you do not expect. Because from Allah, it's very possible. It's very likely. But this is a mindset you need to develop. If you're not like that, then you're not going to receive it. If you're not hopeful to receive, you won't receive. There's no favoritism happening. This is a system that God has created. You learn it, you succeed. You don't abide by it, you fail. Very simple. And the continuation of the narration, which I'm going to stop here because of the time, inshallah. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us learn these things, connect with them, remind ourselves in our lives every single day, and inshallah apply them, implement them, and live with these teachings, inshallah. Please recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tonight, inshallah, we're going to remember the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Ali al-Akbar. But I can't do justice by reciting in English only, so I'm going to read the maqtal in Arabic and I'm going to translate it. Sallallahu alayka ya mawlai ya Aba Abdullah. It is a time where Imam Hussein alayhi salam is only left with his Ahlul Bayt now. Everyone's gone. فلما لم يبق معه سوى أهل بيته خرج علي بن الحسين وكان من أصبح الناس وجها وأحسنهم خلقا. Ali ibn al-Hussein comes out to his father. But who is Ali ibn al-Hussein? He's from the most beautiful of the people when it comes to his physique. But not only that, and he's from the best of the people when it comes to his akhlaq. فاستأذن أباه في القتال. He asked his father, can I go to the battlefield? فأذن له ثم نظر إليه نظر آيس منه. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave him permission to go to the battlefield. But Imam al-Hussein is looking at him whilst he's going. The Rawi says, the narrator says that the Imam is looking at him, the type of a look of someone who's not hopeful that this person's going to come back. He puts his head down, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, وَأَرْخَى عَيْنَهُ وَبَكَى, and he starts crying. ثُمَّ قَالَ اللَّهُمَّ إِشْهَدْ. Then Imam Hussein alayhi salam is speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, builds his connection. فقد برز إليهم غلام أشبه الناس خلقا وخلقا ومنطقا برسولك. Who have I sent to the battlefield? The person who's the closest to your Prophet when it comes to akhlaq, when it comes to appearance. Do these people not remember your Prophet? To remember that this was his akhlaq, this is him. وَكُنَّا إِذَا اشْتَقْنَا إِلَىٰ نَبِيِّكَ نَظَرْنَا إِلَيْهِ. And whenever we wanted to see the Prophet, we would look at Ali al-Akbar. فصاح وقال يا ابن سعد فقطع الله رحمك كما قطعت رحمي. He says to Ibn Sa'd, may Allah cut your lineage, your children, the same way you killed my children. فتقدم نحو القوم فقاتل قتالا شديدا. Now Ali al-Akbar went to the battlefield. He fought like a brave soldier. وقتل جميعا كثيرا. He killed so many of the enemies. But at this moment, let's remember that he didn't have water. The whole family were thirsty on this day. So as he was fighting, ثم رجع إلى أبي. He came back to the Imam. وقال يا أبتي. And he said to his father in a very polite manner, العطش قد قتلني. Thirst is killing me, father. وثقل الحديد قد أجهدني. The heaviness of the metal of the shield is really tiring me. فهل إلى شربة من الماء سبيل. Oh Father, I don't want to put you into trouble or difficulty, but is there any way for us to be able to get some water? I'm happy to go back and fight, but is there any water that we can get? لا إله إلا الله. فبكى الحسين عليه السلام وقال يا غوثا يا بني قاتل قليلا فما أسرع ما تلقى جدك محمدا. Oh my son, oh my dear son, don't worry, just continue with the battle. It is very close that you're going to see your grandfather, Rasulullah. It's very close that he's going to give you himself with his hands some water. فيسقيك بكأسه الأوفى شربة لا تظمأ بعدها أبدا. فرجع إلى موقف النزال وقاتل أعظم القتال فرماه منقذ بن مرة العبدي. So he went back to the battlefield. He fought like a very brave soldier. However, Munqidh threw an arrow, ألا لعنة الله عليه, وفصرعه فنادى يا أبتاه. He was hit by the arrow, and in that moment on the ground, he calls, "O Father, Ya Abata, alayka salam." Oh Father, see you on the other side. I'm leaving, but I have something to say to you. هذا جدي يقرئك السلام. I can see my grandfather. He sends his salam to you. ويقول لك عجل القدوم علينا. And he's saying for me to say to you, come to us. Come to us quickly, Hussein. ثم شهق شهقة فمات. And it was in this moment that when he delivered the message, he left this world and he passed away. عليه آلاف التحية والسلام. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْنًا وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْنًا وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْن. सब बना लीजिएगा. حُسَيْن وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْنًا وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْن وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْنًا وَوَيْلَا حُسَيْنًا وَوَيْلَا
अकबर तुम्हें मालूम है क्या मांग रहे हो, तुम बाप से मरने की रज़ा मांग रहे हो। अकबर तुम्हें मालूम है क्या मांग रहे हो, तुम बाप से मरने की रज़ा मांग रहे हो। इस आलम गुर्बत में तुम्हें जाने दूं कैसे, इस दश्त मुसीबत में तुम्हें जाने दूं कैसे, इस वक्त क़यामत में तुम्हें जाने दूं कैसे। ऐला जो तुम इज़्न विग़ा मांग रहे हो, तुम बाप से मरने की रज़ा मांग रहे हो। अकबर तुम्हें मालूम के क्या मांग रहे हो, बाप से मरने की रज़ा मांग रहे हो। क्या गुज़रेगी इस बाप के दिल पर नहीं सोचा, तुमने ये मेरी जान ली अकबर नहीं सोचा। मर जाऊंगा मैं तुझसे बिछड़ कर नहीं सोचा, तुम मुझसे ज़ईफ़ी का सामान रहे हो। तुम बाप से मरने की रज़ा मांग रहे हो,
اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. دل روتا ہے نظروں سے اگر دور ہو بیٹا، کس طرح جدائی تیری منظور ہو بیٹا. تمہیں میری آنکھیں ہو میرا نور ہو بیٹا، مجھ سے میری آنکھوں کے ضیاء مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. دنیا سے گیا جس گھڑی محبوب خدا کا، نانا کے زیارت کو طرف تھا نواسا. اے لال تجھے اس لیے خالق سے تھا مانگا، مقبول ہوئی میری دعا مانگ رہے ہو، تم باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. اکبر تمہیں معلوم ہے کیا مانگ رہے ہو، ایک باپ سے مرنے کی رضا مانگ رہے ہو. حسین حسین
زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے، زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے، ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر اکبر میرا ہے، زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے، زخم دل کے دکھاؤں میں کیسے، ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سے لاش اکبر پہ شاہ جب پہنچے، دل کو ہاتھوں سے تھام کر بولے، تیری فرقت علی اکبر آگ دل میں میرے لگا دی ہے، آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے، آگ دل کی ہائے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحری والا اکبر، اکبر میرا سحری والا، جس نے 18 سال پالا تھا، کیسے دیکھے گی وہ تیرا لاشا. تیری شادی کا تھا جسے ارماں، کیسے جھیلے گی وہ تیرا صدمہ. تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے، تیری ماں کو بتاؤں میں کیسے، ہے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحری والا اکبر، اکبر میرا سحری والا اکبر. لطف جینے میں اب کہاں اکبر، دل سے اٹھتی ہے یہ فغاں اکبر. صبح عاشور دی تھی جو تو نے، خور لائے گی وہ عزاں اکبر. تیری صورت بھلاؤں میں کیسے، تیری صورت بھلاؤں میں کیسے، ہے تیرا لاشا بھلاؤں میں کیسے. اکبر میرا سحری والا اکبر، اکبر میرا سحری والا. ایسی غربت میں منہ نہیں موڑو، میں ہوں تنہا مجھے یا یوں چھوڑو. کیا گزرتی ہے باپ کے دل پر، غمزدہ کا یوں دل نہیں توڑو، اپنی غربت بتاؤں میں کیسے، سے ہے تیرا لاشا حسین حسین اکبر میرا سحر والا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر والا
حسین 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 یا امام